Okay, we should start. Thank you for joining me on this session. I don't see you very well, but I think, okay, I can see you if I do this. So we're going to talk about Sessionize. And anybody here has used Sessionize so far? Yeah, okay, as a speaker, I guess, right? Any organizers here? Oh, also as well, that's nice. So thanks for being here. My name is Domagoj Pavlešić. I'm a founder of Sessionize. And of course, I'm going to talk about Sessionize today. But first, a few things about myself. So I'm coming from Croatia, the touristy little country. If you haven't been there, you should. It's very nice. Anybody been to Croatia for the summer? No? Okay, nice. Oh, great. So I'm doing software development for 26 years. I'm not old, as you can see. I have just started early. And of course, I am founder of Sessionize, and I'm very proud to be also MVP, Microsoft MVP for 13 years now. Also not all, started early. And I'm definitely crying for two technologies. First is Windows Phone. Anybody has done Windows Phone apps here? No, really? Okay, thank you for coming. I really loved Windows Phone. Anybody was using Windows Phone maybe? Okay, one, thank you. Even if it's not true, thank you just for raising hands. So I really liked Windows Phone. I really liked Silverlight. And of course, as you know, both technologies are kind of dead now. People tease me that every technology that I like eventually ends up being dead. So have I mentioned that I'm Microsoft MVP for Azure? Okay, and something very important for me, I really, really like ice cream. Anybody, any ice cream lovers here? Yeah, okay. I forgiving you everything about Windows Phone and so right. This is actually even more important. So let's look at the agenda. So I was told to tell a story about Sessionize here. So how we started, how it all began, how we do things, a little bit of architectural and tech challenges that we had, and a little bit about the future plans and what we are going to do in the future. So let's start. Just a quick overview of what Sessionize is. Not all of you have used it, so just give me 30 seconds. This is all I'm going to tell you about the feature, because we're not here to promote the system itself. So Sessionize is basically a content management system for events like this one. And what you can do with it, you can basically organize call for speakers page, collect submissions from speakers. You can then do evaluations. You can say this is good, this is not good, this is not going to make it, and stuff like that. Then you can, of course, manage all these sessions and speaker and the data, everything you have gathered. Then you can also communicate with speakers. You can tell them you have been accepted, declined. You can send them group messages like you have to be at a speaker dinner or something like that, or you can even collect additional information about themselves or about their sessions. Then, of course, you can use all these accepted sessions to build a schedule. Just drag and drop into rooms. And then when you have built a schedule, you can use this schedule as an embed on your web page, or you can use our event app that comes out of the box as well. And you can also use the API to access the data and do whatever you like with it. This is all for event organizers, and we offer something for speakers as well, as many of you know. So we have a speaker area, so every speaker can make their own public profile, speaker public profile, of course, something like LinkedIn for speakers, I would like to say. And they can discover new events and a few more gotchas. That is basically everything I'm going to tell you about Sessionize itself. So we cover this area of content management system for events. But how it all began? Actually, I kind of always wanted to have my own product. Back in the days when I was in elementary school, I was going to the contents and there were two categories in these contents. And first category was like algorithms. You get a challenge, you write an algorithm for that. But I was not fond of that. I was actually going to another category. It was software development. So you had to spend months to build a product, to build a software. and then you present it, and you have presentations and documentation and something like that. So I always wanted to have, even when I was a child, I wanted to have my own product. It was kind of cool to me. And basically, I was doing a lot of freelance work and for a lot of contract work, but I always was thinking about, I have to build something. And I've built numerous products that they weren't very successful. But what I did usually with these products, I used one idea for a product, and I have combined it with new technology that I wanted to try out. For example, this, you don't see it very well, but this on the left was my first ASP.NET Core project. On the right-hand side, you can see Wall of Silver. That was my first project in Silverlight. And of course, Windows Phone. I have a very successful Windows Phone application. It basically just shows the clock on the tile. And what's interesting that still, after all these years of Windows Phone not being with us anymore, I still make money out of this application. I have no idea how. But please laugh. It's definitely for that. So every 6 or 7 months, I get 50 euros. And that goes directly to my ice cream budget, of course. But I have no idea. I mean, I have a pretty good guess, but my friends tease me that they have a bug of some sort in Windows Store, and that they just gave me money by mistake. That's also fine, at least, as long as I can buy ice cream. Yeah. But let's go back to the story about Sessionize. So basically, there was a conference in Croatia. It was organized by Microsoft, by local Microsoft office. And it's called Windays. And they have started in year 2000. And it was really, really huge conference like this one. And first, I was a journalist. As a journalist, then I started to speak there. Then they asked me to build a website for them, so I did that as well. And 10 years ago, in 2013, they have asked me to do a conference system for the conference, the whole package. And I was young, and I was stupid, and I said yes. And it was a huge amount of work. I had a few colleagues working on this with me, but it was really, really probably the most painful project ever because we had a really short deadline and everything, but I was young and stupid and whatever. So I basically, with the friends, built the whole conference management system that includes registration, accommodation, finance management, taxes control, sponsor management, website, content manager, so everything. And it was quite a success. Actually, it's still used. For example, in September, in a couple of months, it will be used on the event in Slovenia, also Microsoft conference there. And it's basically an old legacy system, but it works perfectly, especially it has to handle a lot of requests during the event. So during the event, it's the most important thing ever, because if this stops, everything stops. And it was nice to build that, but I was always thinking about my product, and I have analyzed this, what we have done for this. I was thinking, what can I take from this and maybe turn into my own product? To build the whole thing, that's just too much. I focused on one thing that was, from what I have experienced, it was kind of underdeveloped in all the systems that existed at the time. And that was, you can guess, content management. So I focused on that, and I said to myself, I don't talk to myself usually, but for the purpose of these presentations, I said to myself, you have 3 months to do something usable. So I put on pause all other projects that I have. I ended some other projects, and I took 3 months from September 2016 until December, and I wanted to build something, And to do that, it was really a lot of work, but I was kind of focused on that very much, and I took a lot of shortcuts as well. For example, I bought a bootstrap team. So I didn't want to have anything with user interface and designing and stuff like that. I bought a team. I wrote a lot of bad code. I can admit that now. And I had created a pile of technical debt, even used Entity Framework at the time. So basically, I did a lot of shortcuts to get to there. And after 3 months, I had a product that could be used on events. So now it was a time to test the idea. And of course, when you're a startup, when you want to test your idea, you go to friends and family, right? And I called a few people from my family, and nobody was organizing events. Who would say that? But I had some friends that did that, and I was also involved in one event back in Croatia, and we just tried to use that for the event. And it was pretty good, pretty solid. They were happy about it. It was useful. That's the most important part, of course. And everything went fine. We did a little bit of tuning, and of course, but that was actually the easy part. Then I was in trouble because you have something and you have to sell it on the market. And to sell it on the market, that's much more, much harder than just to build it. It's very, very hard. But I've managed somehow. First paying customers was an event from Belgium. It was a friend of the friend. That works actually. And they were very, very happy about it. And the second customer was an event from Australia. So it turned globally. Suddenly it was a global product. And the third customer was from the United States. So it makes sense to show the flags of these three countries, right? Waving in the sky. And I asked AI to help me with that. It didn't work out well. So let's fall back to these ones. What's important about these three customers is that they all use Sessionize now, 6 years later. And I'm very, very proud of that because first paying customers were actually long-term customers that are still using Sessionize for their events. And what I'm also very proud to say here is that the second customer ever was NDC for their event in Sydney. And I really want to thank them for believing in the product in such an early stage. A round of applause, please. So really, really proud of this. Actually, there are a few speakers here. You have actually used the system to apply for this event, right? But also as a participant, when you use the mobile application or when you use the web schedule of the web, you basically, behind that, there's a Sessionize API that you actually use by using this, by looking at the schedule. 6 years later, Sessionize is used in 106 countries across the globe and on 7 continents, all 7 continents. Now you're going to say, well, there are only 6 continents, right? The 7th one is not really, doesn't have any people there. But actually, there was a conference like a couple of years ago that took place, sorry? Yeah, you know about that? Exactly. So there was a conference that took place on the cruise ship that went to Antarctica. So I'm checking the 7th continent for that. Okay, so this is the graph of the sales of Sessionize from the beginning to a couple months ago. And as you can see, it was not always great. As you can guess, there was a tiny little thing happened here, as you can already guessed. And actually, the main problem was that basically 1 month before COVID, we had the biggest sale ever. So it was like I was at the top of the world, literally. Not literally, but okay, you know what I mean. So it was like the best thing ever, and now everything stops. Events get canceled. It was really, really painful. And what happened, I was really scared, of course, and I expected event organizers to ask for refund because they were not able to, go on with their events and stuff like that. But that never happened. Nobody asked for a refund. Thank you. Thank you. Amazing. Actually, the only thing they have asked is, can we reuse the license for the event when everything gets back to normal? And of course, we said, yes, please do that. That's great. So we were pretty lucky, but also, from this point of view, I can basically say that there are a few things that were really important to survive this pandemic for the Sessionize. First of all, that I found very important, Sessionize is and always was cloud-only system. So it was built for the cloud, and when we faced the COVID, we basically just scaled down the resources and saved a lot of money. This was very important. Of course, there's another side of this. When everything is everything going well, then you basically just scale up, and that's just perfect. I mean, I don't have to explain you because you all know that, but this was really, really key. Second, Sessionize was bootstrapped, so we have no external investors, no anybody that can say, please, you have to do this, it's emergency, you have to work on this. I've seen many, many companies doing event business, they had just ceased to exist. You know, it was really, really hard for them. And the third part is that I'm actually a lazy developer. And when I build a system, I want it to work without me, without any manual work if possible, zero maintenance. So it has to, you know, I have to be able to go to vacation for 3 years. No, just kidding. I want to do that, but I can't. So everything should work without any maintenance. And I will quote here Bill Gates that said, he said, I choose a lazy person to do a hard job because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it. I really believe that. And also I'll quote another very important person here, at least for me. It was my mother, and she was telling me, you'd rather spend 3 hours to find an easier way to do something than just take 15 minutes and do it. That's also me. So I really believe that this automation, so to being a lazy developer is basically to automate things, is very, very important. And the whole purpose of Sessionize for event organizers and for speakers is to automate things, so to make the process easier. And the same applies for the development and for the business development of Sessionize. Everything has to be automated if it can be automated, of course. But it's also very important not to automate everything, because you also need to have a human touch for everything, okay? Let me give you an example. This is a good luck email. Then we send out to event organizers around about 1 week before the event. And it's just, I don't know if you can read it, but basically it's thank you for using Sessionize. Good luck with your event, and I hope everything goes well, blah, blah, blah. And of course, we don't write this email manually each time. It would be nice, but we don't do that. We do that automatically. So we prepare this email, but we don't send it automatically, because you know you have to have human touch to get a good luck email from the system. That's not really cool, but to get a good luck email from the person behind the system, that's cool. And that is what we do. Everything is prepared automatically, but I personally click the send button for each mail that goes out from this. And it's written so at the end of the mail. Of course, I don't type this message for every event, but I did click send button manually, and the good wishes are sincere. And this works. People love this. People really, really like this. We get a lot of responses to these emails, and it's just sincere. It's just, you know, human. It's automated to the point, but then it has to be human. Also, Sessionize is like a self-service product, of course. It's software as a service. There are no sales. You don't have to contact anybody to, get a trial, or don't have to listen to the pitch or anything. You just come, you log in, and you can try and test everything. And if you like what you see, you can just activate your event and just use it for real. It's that simple. And for example, we don't even know about like 90 or 95% of the people using Sessionize. We don't know about that. I can see the name, I can see the event, you can see the website. Of course, we do occasionally go and see who's using Sessionize. That's interesting. But we don't know them. They haven't contacted us at all. What we also offer them, not only a test mode, you can try everything. We offer them a demo event. And demo event is basically just a regular event, but it additionally has 10 randomly generated submissions. So you get fake data to play with. And this is very, very important, because without these 10 submissions, you will not be able to test everything. And to expect from the customer to fake the data, that's just, they're not going to do it, okay? So this is very, very important, and it works very, very well. Then what's really important to have is good customer support. And I think you know, I know you all know that, but I have to emphasize that once more. Besides having a good product, you have to have good support. And it just has to happen. And support has to be fast, and it depends what you mean by fast. I mean, for some people, fast is like 15 minutes. We're not that fast usually. For some, it's like 24 hours. We're usually better than that. So basically, it depends on the person on the other side, but we really try to be as fast as possible. Also, we try to be human. When I see that somebody is using bot for support, yeah, that doesn't work. It kind of cuts the expenses, but this is not the real thing. And we try to be honest. If we see that something is not going to work, if we see that Sessionize is not the best fit for a certain event or something like that, we tell them so. So this is maybe not the best fit. You could use it like this, but it's not the best fit. And people really appreciate that. And we also try to be very, very focused. So if a person asks a question, then we try to answer it. Without thanks for contacting support, we'll be very happy to help you and please have a nice day. Okay, that's all nice, but we try to really focus on the problem, include screenshots, include link to our knowledge base or something like that. What we also love to do is we love to amaze people through the support. And there are two things that we usually do that have been proven to be really, really good for people that really they really like them. So first is immediate bug fixing. So they find a typo or a bug, usually a small bug because bigger bugs are found earlier during testing. So there is something off, and they report it to you. And then you do the bug fix as soon as possible. Sometimes it's like half an hour, sometimes it's 3 hours, sometimes it's 2 days, but you really address that immediately. People love that because you show them that you care, and we really care. We hate bugs. Bug is the worst thing that can happen to you, and if we know that bug exists, we just want to squash it, you know? And this works pretty well. I always say that's maybe even better to have a small bug and fix it really fast than not to have bug at all. Because if you don't have a bug, they just take you for granted, right? And if you have a bug and you fix it immediately, oh, they're happy. They are, you know, they're listened to. Another thing we do, we try to go extra mile in doing support, and the most obvious example for that is actually when organizers are building their schedule and they want to put it on their website. We have a little embed code that they can use, and then they put it on the website, and in like 90% of the time everything is fine, but sometimes some styling goes off, a margin, a color, a font, or something like that. And it would be normal to say to them, your site sucks, of course. But you cannot say that. I mean, you can, if you want to be honest. But we try to help. So basically, excuse me, we have a feature inside Sessionize that you can actually use. They can inject additional CSS and JavaScript code with the embed they embed in their website. And this usually is enough to make a quick fix, to fix the color, fix the margin, fix the font, or something like that, and to, you know, make this work. We don't have to explain to them, you have to call your developer and tell him to do this and that. We just fix that for them. And this works perfectly. People just love this. Also, we try to be very, very transparent, open, honest, and we don't hide anything. I mean, anything, of course, we hide something. But we don't hide the important stuff. For example, on the homepage, we have some very important numbers that we think are important that shows how our platform is used. And these are real-time numbers. So we don't fake them. These are not like, you know, something that's going to happen or something that happened 3 months ago. It's directly from the database, the number of speakers or speaker profiles or events or sessions submitted. So it's just honest where we stand for, stand on. And for example, if somebody turns their profile off, theoretically, this number can also decrease. Of course, there are much more new users than the ones that turn their profiles off, but that can theoretically happen. What else we do with the testimonials? Testimonials are really, really important for every product online, especially software as a service. And we don't force people to write testimonials for us. We have never asked anybody to write a testimonial. We just sit and wait, and somebody will write something nice about us on Twitter. And we just take that and use as testimonials. So these are all real testimonials. Nobody asked for them, nobody paid for them. That also happens. So it's just real expressions of, love or likeness or whatever. Something very useful in the software as a service business is to keep everything as simple as possible. And for example, we have no limits in terms of you can have unlimited number of sessions, unlimited number of speakers, unlimited number of co-organizers, unlimited number of embeds, unlimited number of whatever you want. We have only one tier. If you pay for Sessionize, you get everything. You don't have to use everything, of course. Every event is different. But you can have everything. And you don't have to think about, what if I add one new person? Do I need a seat for that? Do I need... everything is very, very simple. And people often ask us, why don't you, charge more for big events? For example, event like this could easily afford much more, to pay much more for Sessionize. But we don't do that because it doesn't really make sense. We don't have more expenses for big events. We actually get more for big events because they have more speakers. So more speakers come to our platform. They like our platform, they use our platform. We have more visibility with these big events. That's also very important for us because this is how we get new events, get new customers. And also what we used to do, we don't do it anymore because there's no need for that anymore. But we're using big events to test the limits of our system. Of course, we have done internal tests and like laboratory experiments with thousands of sessions and speakers, but the real data is the real data, right? The real event is the real event, and we have used them, to test how this behaves. Should we improve the UI here, and stuff like that? And this was really, really helpful. So we treat everybody equally. And also, what we always like to emphasize is that we like giving back. So Sessionize is free for community events. So if you're organizing something out of good heart of yours, and if you want to share knowledge and build community and stuff like that, the Sessionize is free for you, as long as you don't make money of that, of course. Also, we have introduced a couple of years ago, we have used a mode for user groups or meetups, however you want to call them. And this is also something we did just to empower community because we really believe that's very useful to have. I mean, I was Microsoft MVP for 13 years, and I know what community means. I would easily say that everything I have learned is basically community-based. So it's really important for us to give back. Also, Sessionize is free for speakers as well, so they don't pay anything. That's especially important for new speakers that want to start their speaking careers, and we just want to give them opportunity to do so as well. And now a little bit of technical details. I promise I won't go deep. I just wanted to show you that a system, relatively complex, but also pretty simple because we keep things simple, can actually be how it looks like in the real example. So, as I said, it's cloud only, so everything is on the cloud, and you're using only platform as a service stuff. So, only something we don't have to manage at all. Okay, this is very, very helpful. So, we have one app service that's basically covering almost everything. It's a ASP.NET application, and behind that there is a Azure SQL for relational data. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And for some data that doesn't really fit into relational database, we have tables, Azure tables. We also have Azure blobs for storing files like images, PowerPoint presentation, stuff like that. Not only originals, but also when we do resizing, then we store cached files as well. And we use queues. So very, very simple architecture. Queues are used for sending emails, for change tracking, for text analysis, for anything that doesn't have to be immediately done. And at the beginning, we had many problems with performance because it was like a side project of mine, and basically we want to make it as less expensive for us as possible. And then we have started to optimize queries. So Sessionize is not really a complex system, but the data model behind it is, because it has a lot of options and a lot of things to do. So we have used a very simple approach. We have used Query Performance Insight inside the Azure portal. And it basically gives you a list of all queries that are long-running or use a lot of resources or stuff like that. And we basically went one by one query by one, and basically tried to optimize it to maybe turn into several queries or merge several queries into one. Different things worked at the time. And we have even introduced a simple addition to our database layer that basically puts a hidden field, hidden column. It's not hidden, actually. It's a fake column that basically identifies where this query is coming from. So when we see the query in the Query Performance Insights page, we immediately know where this query is coming from. And we have managed to optimize the database access very, very, very much with this. Also, we had issues at the beginning with app service limitations. Of course, we didn't have enough money to pay the highest instances there. So something like that happened. This is just a mock-up, not real. But basically, everything was fine. It was under the 5% of the CPU percentage, and all of a sudden, it just went up. Why? How? It was kind of easy to discover. It was the image resizing. So sometimes this is just too much for the app service, and then we have moved this to the Azure functions. So we have now Azure functions for image resizing. We have Azure function for HTML to image and a few others. But basically, everything that is hungry for resources doesn't go to the main web app. It goes to the Azure function or some other way to solve it. And then later, when we have introduced event app that I have mentioned in the intro, then that's basically a separate web app that it's standalone. So everything here is basically on Azure. And of course, we use DevOps and we use Microsoft Defender for Cloud. I don't know if you know what that is, but this is a really, really cool tool that helps you keep your Azure resources secure and gives you a lot of recommendations and things you have to worry about. And this is very, very helpful because enterprises these days ask us to fill the security questionnaires and have you thought about this, have you thought about that? And basically, this tool helps us a lot, and we were basically ready for this kind of questionnaires. We also use application insights to monitor everything, but also we use something completely different, something very old. I don't know if you have ever used LMAC. Anybody here? Okay, one. So it's a really, really old library that basically, all it does, it basically logs the exceptions chronologically. And it's extremely useful to debug things, of course, in production. You don't do that on purpose, but when it happens, you have to know about that. And it's very, very easy because you can see this exception immediately. You can see if there are many exceptions of this kind and stuff like that. So very, very useful. Then, if you look at the external services we use, if you ever want to start your software as a service business, then look for Paddle or similar companies that they're basically merchant of records. And this is really important. They are not payment gateways, they are merchant of records, and they basically do the sale for you. They don't find you customers, but basically they do invoicing and they do taxes. and taxes are extremely complicated. You wouldn't believe. So it's just best to put that to somebody else. So they manage everything. Everything goes through them. They issue invoices and handle taxes and tax refunds and all kind of things. And we just once a month receive the money from them, and that's it. Of course, they get a percentage for that, but it's well worth. And other thing that was really, really painful is sending email. Who would know? This is probably the hardest thing ever, because you have to send email, and that email has to not land in the spam folder, right? Sounds really, really easy, but it's not. And this is something we're fighting for 6 years now. And I think we're winning, but it's really hard. So we started with SendGrid. It was part of the Azure. You can just use it from the marketplace. And we were not really happy about that. So we moved on. We went to Amazon Web Services Simple Email Services service, and then we use them. Technically, from the technical perspective, this is a really, really great product, very robust, a lot of advanced options you can tweak, really, really good. But the main problem with this one is they're really, really popular and really, really cheap. And everybody is using them. So they affect your deliverability too. So it's a problem. So we wanted to move from them, and we have literally tested 9 different email providers. Not in production, but in, internally. And we have settled for Postmark. Postmark, I don't know if you have heard about them. They are a US company specialized in transaction mails. And this is what we do. We don't send newsletters. We don't send mass mailings. We do transactional emails. And they are really, really focused on controlling their customers, what these customers do. And this is very, very good, because all of their customers are playing by the book and obeying limits, obeying what they should do and should not do, and this is very good. We have moved to Postmark at the beginning of this year, and the number of support tickets that say, yeah, we didn't receive your email or something like that, has drastically decreased, drastically. Of course, there are still emails that go to the spam folder or junk folder, and that will never going to stop, but the situation is much, much better. And now when you see all of this, I missed a few things here, but it's basically the main part of everything. You probably want to know how much this all costs, right? And it's pretty cheap, I would say. So for Azure, we spend only $650. For Amazon Web Services, because we use some AI thing here, we spend like $15, and for Postmark is like $55. This Postmark thing is actually very expensive. On Amazon, it was like a couple of bucks, but it's worth. Okay. And now a little bit about the future. Okay. I have no idea what the future brings, to be honest. Everything is like a roller coaster, and I haven't expected to have these numbers so fast, and I didn't expect a lot of things in this business. But we do have a lot of things that we want to implement, we want to add, we want to include in the system. Currently, we have 173 either feature requests or ideas or improvements or of any kind. They can be small, they can be big, they can be huge, of course. And we have no idea what will come next, to be honest, because when we have time, when we go to the next feature that we want to implement, we just stop and review everything. There are many features here that will never probably make the cut because, well, they're not as good or they have some issues or something like that. But what's really important that we track of all feature requests by our customers. Everything anybody has said to us that they want to have, we have note to that. And we have scoring and stuff like that, of course. But it has happened that sometimes you think, oh, this is stupid idea, sorry for the language, but you kind of think this is not going to make it. And a couple of months later or years later, you see, oh, this really makes sense. It makes sense now because something has changed, or more people have asked it, or you have understood that a little bit more. Since there are many speakers here, I will not talk about organizers' features. I want to share exclusively a few features that we are thinking about. So this is not like a plan. It's not 100% that it's going to happen. I just need your feedback on this. So I'm just going to share a few things here. First of all, this is like a classic public speaker profile. Who has a public speaker profile on Sessionize? Yoo-hoo. Okay, so this is how it looks like. And what we want to add here is video profile picture. Okay, I know it sounds like a Facebook video profile picture, and that was probably the worst idea ever. But for speakers profile, I think it's important for organizers to hear and feel and see the speaker they're going to invite on their event, right? Does that make sense? Would you like to see that? Yeah? Okay, two, maybe hands? No, just a few. Okay. Another thing, and so this is like a session page on your speaker profile. This is the page from this session, actually. And what we're thinking about adding is a possibility for speaker to add PowerPoint, code, maybe get some feedback on the session and stuff like that. What do you think about that? Okay, more hands in the air. I've seen a lot of speakers even these couple of days here that they're using their GitHub, they're using blogs, but maybe it would make sense to, put everything on Sessionize, their speaker profiles, because then attendees can also see their other talks and other events they have been on and stuff like that. Okay, so I think you like this one a little bit more than the first one. And the third one is basically something I don't need you to avoid because we have already done it. It's not just public yet. So we're introducing lists. Lists, something like Twitter lists, kind of. But basically the idea is that everybody can, or will be able in a couple of weeks, to create their own list of speakers or events. So you will be able, for example, to say, I want to have all the speakers from Sweden, like to make a Swedish speaker hub or something like that. And you can do it using Sessionize, just by including public speaker profiles on your list. Or, for example, you can be a company that basically has, 10, 20, 30 speakers that go around the world and talk on different events. You can build your own site, sub-page with all these speakers, and you can basically promote your speakers as a company. Or NDC can, for example, create a list of all their events, and of course, list them on the same page. What's really cool here that you can also search this. For example, this is like a test list that we have done to test very huge amount of speakers on one list. And we have used all Microsoft MVPs that are on Sessionize. And what you can do, for example, here is say, please show me all the speakers that are near me. So geolocation, nothing really smart. Or you can, for example, search by, I want Blazor Germany. So all MVPs that are doing Blazor from Germany will go on the list. And what you can also do, you can click on this little green button. I don't know if you can see it on the left, on the right, results on the map. So you can browse all this on the map. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, nice to hear that. And finally, talking about future plans, something that we are also really focused on. We try to expand to other markets. For technical events, as you can probably noticed, a lot of events are using Sessionize. I would say a majority. But for other markets, for example, academic and healthcare, we're not there yet. We have a few customers from these markets, but we really want to expand on these markets as well. And we're going to do, we started to do a lot of analysis, and we're talking to customers, what do they need to cover these markets better because they have different processes, they have different approaches, and we just want to tune our system to help them as well. So that's the plan. We'll see how this is going to work. And to summarize everything, I want to say a few things, a few advices from my perspective. This has worked for me. I don't know if it worked for you, but I'm just sharing my experience. If you want to start your software as a service product, here's what I say. First, you have to love what you do. This is very important. I know you know all about that, but this is really important. I really like speaking. I really like events. I really like everything around this. So it was like a natural for me. Also, niches are very, very cool. So you don't try to save the world or solve complex stuff. That's probably something that's going to be addressed by Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, and you will not be able to compete with them. But niches, so little small parts of the market that you make some change. This really works. The third advice would be just do it. Okay, just take 3 months and do it. You don't have to exclusively work on that like I did, but it really helps. You just have to push yourself and say, I want to do it. I want to build something, and something will happen. Maybe will not succeed at first, and I haven't at first. I have tried many times, as you had seen, but it kind of worked. That's the only way. Be lazy. I really like this one because automation is very important these days, and keep things simple. This is very important. Don't when I look at other software as a services products, they always have many tiers, many complications, many pages to explain different stuff. If you keep it simple, it will be more simple for you too as well. And this is very, very useful. And finally, it worked for me. Eat a lot of ice cream, okay? I'm not sure it will work for you, but it works for me perfectly, as you can see. Thank you. I think we have a few more minutes for questions. Yeah, please.
For that page that you're thinking of doing with personal lists of things, of credits for you, you can have references. I would love to see a link to Polkadot evaluations. That's something I would love to see. But I love your product. I'm happy with it as a speaker.
Yeah, we're thinking about evaluations a lot for years now, and we can talk later if you want the details. But yeah, but it's really complicated thing because Sessionize is actually focused on organizers, speakers, and this part, and the participants on the events, attendees. This is not really something we cover, and it's really hard to authenticate these people and how we'll talk later.
Yeah.
Any other questions, maybe?
When you took the 3 months to build it, did you know you were going to have any customers, or
No.
How did you stay motivated then?
I just wanted to do something. Just
To do it.
yeah, just to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
What's your pricing model? Is it subscription, monthly?
It's per event. It's $500 per event. Per event.
Once event is gone, so
You have to pay again. Yeah.
but do I have so once I pay for an event, do I have an access to the event? Like a history?
Yeah, you have access to the event unlimited. Yeah, we kind of maybe we're going to cap that eventually, like for 10 years or something. But for now, everything is saved forever. And I saw another question here. Yeah.
How do you gather and structure?
Can you speak up, please?
How do you gather and structure user feedback? Do you have a system for that?
Yeah, we have a system. It's called. It was Trello before. Now it's. I don't remember what. ClickUp, I think, or something like that. Yeah, is that one? Okay, so we use ClickUp and just put everything inside, and we link these features with ticket numbers. When somebody contacts us through the support, we have a ticket number, and we connect that to the system, so we can, go back and see the ticket that was asked for. Yeah.
A question about support. So you are represented, as you mentioned, on 7 continents. How the support is organized worldwide?
Well, we don't have like all-time support, like immediate support. Of course, we do sleep. So it's not really important to have support like really everything should be solved in 2 hours. We don't offer that. We basically offer email support. We don't have chats, phone, and stuff like that. It's software as a service, so we kind of think that email is pretty good. And people are happy with it. Of course, some of them would like to talk to somebody. We just don't offer that, and that's fine. If that doesn't resonate with them, that's also fine. But basically, we can handle that pretty easily. We do try to have as few tickets as possible, of course. We have a knowledge base called Playbook that's very useful for these kind of things. We have really many hints in the UI that can help you. So we try to optimize these things. So to have as not many tickets, but actually the support that the time that we spend on support is like half an hour a day or something like that. It's very, very low number of tickets. Yeah. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you all so much for coming.